this week.
Come to the study now.
Welcome to the Channing Capwell murder special.
It's daytime's greatest whodunit.
But only one of them set a trap by sending him a message to come to the study.
Come to the study now.
Someone lured him away from the party, away from the praise and adulation that he was getting, through the corridor to the study, to be killed.
Bang, bang! He did. I'm playing Channing Capwell.
Since Diane had found out who killed Channing during the Santa Barbara cruise, what we did was we recorded our regular podcasts as we would if we didn't know who the killer was. But for the last few weeks, we've also recorded a supplement where Diane got to give her theories based on the knowledge of who shot Channing that we learned on the cruise. This week we present all of those supplementary commentaries in a special episode, and we'll be back next week with the full episode for week 45.
On Santa Barbara.
All right, we've just watched episode 210, and in this episode, Marcello, losing consciousness, possibly thinking he's dying, whispered something about a gun at one point, which everyone interpreted to be related to Channing's death. And then at the end, he whispered something into Cruz's ear, presumably, as everyone was asking him at the time, do you know who killed Channing? Presumably he said something about the murder of Channing to Cruz. Now, knowing what you heard on the cruise, what do you think Marcello said to Cruz?
Well, if it has to do with Channing's murder, and just considering what I heard on the cruise, maybe he's saying something about Sophia having the gun that killed Channing, or Sophia firing the gun that killed Channing, or something that connects Sophia with the murder.
Now, I'm just thinking, why would he do that? Does he want to get that off his chest? The other thought that was, he blew up the tunnel to protect Sophia's secret. Oh, we still don't know if he's the one who actually blew it up.
Yeah, we don't know.
Quite frankly. But I'm assuming. If he's the one who blew up the tunnel, then maybe he told Cruz that he did it. Because if he thinks he's going to die, maybe he's thinking he could protect Sophia from this last thing.
The other thought I had, and I think that's very possible as well, because she's sort of his last ally, and he wouldn't, he seems to have, in the time since he tried to kill Channing, or tried to kill Cece, and that he seems to be trying to repent a little bit, or at least not make things worse, so that could very well be it. Another thought I had, and it's kind of in a similar vein to that, but, knowing his history as a hypnotist, if he had hypnotized Sophia to kill Channing, for example, maybe he's hypnotized her to do other things. Maybe she's like a sleeper.
Mm.
And maybe he's warning Cruz that she has the gun, and maybe she's being programmed to use it on other people, or to do other things with it.
Yeah, because that's right. We haven't seen the gun since it was stolen.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, if he confessed, it would make sense for Cruz to keep that quiet.
Mm-hmm.
There must have been more to it, and something that he doesn't want to share with the family is making me think he didn't just simply confess to it. But, yeah, I don't have any memory of this, so this will be exciting to find out in the coming episodes.
Yeah.
Right. We'll talk again about the murder if anything more comes up.
The family has gathered.
All right, we've just watched episode 211, and so we have Marcello whispering something to Cruz, then Cruz trying to interrogate Marcello, and Marcello saying he doesn't remember what he said. But he seems a bit concerned about what he might have said to Cruz. And then Cruz wanting to search Marcello's place, and Mason being concerned about the whole thing and searching Marcello's place. Have you any more furtherments of any of your theories to the Channing mystery?
Well, I think quite some time ago we saw some sort of flashback or something of Mason slipping into a secret panel and heading into the study.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't quite know how that fits in with everything, but and we definitely know that Mason had some sort of a confrontation with Channing that night. So I'm wondering if perhaps he doesn't really know what Marcello's going to say, but he's concerned that perhaps Marcello has somehow come into possession of some evidence that would place Mason in the room a little more closely to Channing's death than he's kind of let on. That's one thought I had.
The only other thing that I thought of was that reference a while back that he and Pamela had been planning something.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Marcello could have some information about that. I mean, maybe Channing had some information and it went missing after he was murdered, so Mason knows that someone has it, and he's looking for that bit of evidence.
Yes. We know that Channing had a lot of incriminating evidence on different people. And, maybe Mason is concerned that somehow Marcello's gotten hold of some of that, and that might implicate him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. But since no one really knew that Marcello was there, I think if Mason's concerned or any of the other characters are concerned, it's because they don't know what Marcello might have seen or done, or what he might have picked up. Even if he was the murderer, we know now that he definitely is capable of having murder in his heart. He might have also picked up or collected information that could incriminate other people. Maybe not in the murder, but definitely bring to light some of the things that they would rather not have brought to light.
And it's something, maybe that could send Mason to jail if he's worried about Cruz finding it.
Yeah, because I don't think we really know what Channing necessarily had on all of these different people.
Maybe some more will come out as Cruz, digs up. I mean, this may be the last thing Cruz digs up, whatever he finds in Marcello's place before, the big reveal.
Yeah.
So. Any other secrets revealed in this episode that you noticed?
Secrets revealed in this episode. Well, I mean, we learned a little, as you said, we learned a little bit more about Brick's background, and that I guess we learned previously that Pamela's name has been mentioned a little more often, so I am expecting we'll see her at some point in the near future. But not really anything I caught.
Well, we'll find out eventually. We'll see you after episode 212. Bye.
And a killer is about to be revealed.
Okay, this is post 212 Murder Talk. All right, we have finished watching episode 212, and as usual, knowing what we heard on the cruise about who killed Channing, we usually have a non-spoiler-free discussion about that. So we saw, what did we see? We saw Marcello adamant that Sophia comes with him to Italy because he's going to escape, and we saw Marcello look for the suspect list. And I think he was looking to see if Sophia's name was on it, because he wanted to know whether he had told Cruz that Sophia was the killer.
Now, I think that's a really good theory. We would have to assume that he found a very recent list that Cruz had created, not one from like 6 months ago or something.
I mean, I don't know if Cruz has had time to go and add to his list since.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
events.
Has he even been home really that much?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that would definitely make sense. It would give him a little insight, perhaps, into Cruz's thinking and what Marcello may have inadvertently told him. And it also does make sense, or it is a possible explanation for why he's so keen on Sophia going back to Italy with him, because if she's a loose end, if she did, in fact, kill Channing and something triggers her to remember it, then that's going to be a bit of a risk for Marcello, because at least my thinking is that Marcello would have actually been the instigator behind that. So it just brings everything down. And so if Sophia goes back to Italy with him, she's not there as a loose end, and he makes his escape. And
the Marcello money will
yeah,
keep them safe somehow.
Yeah. So I think that fits in with my thinking too.
All right. Well, I think it'll be next week that we find out for sure.
Maybe.
So, sweeps can't go on forever.
No, but we have no English translation for a few of those.
Two of
so
the
we may not
episodes.
ever find out.
Yeah. It may be, wow, now that we've figured out who the killer was, let's never speak of it again.
Well, I'm actually going to be quite disappointed, in a way, when we do find out who the killer is. Because I actually like murder mysteries much more than soap operas. So it's this murder mystery story has been really keeping me interested.
It's the last of the original stories, isn't it? I mean there's the Brandon and Santana thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, the secret part of that has all come out. It's just the Gina and Santana fighting over Brandon for the next 80 years.
So unless there's another really great whodunit murder mystery, I think the next 7 years of podcasts might be a bit of a long haul. But
well, maybe there'll be maybe the teen summer story will hold your interest. There'll be maybe some windsurfing or something.
Yeah, or maybe we'll get a few more guest appearances of the caliber of David Hasselhoff.
I think we just might. Someone from NBC should be showing up. Okay. Maybe two. Mm-hmm. So they will be exciting. All right, we will see you.
Bye-bye.
So, having watched episode 214 now we're in a spoiler allowed zone, knowing what was said about who the killer was on that cruise. Do you have any additional thoughts based on what the new things we saw today? A little more about the various people discussing the reenactment. Marcello and Cruz had a conversation. Sophia tried to see Marcello and Cruz wouldn't let her. Any more? Anything new to add as to theories as to exactly what happened?
Well, as I say, that we had a little bit of a breakup in watching this episode and the one before it, so I can't quite remember if it was this episode or the one before it or even the one before that when we first really realized that Marcello was at the party as well. I think that was actually a couple episodes back. But I think that does perhaps influence things a little bit, because it means that Marcello would have probably had a little bit more control over Sophia because he was right there. And so I'm feeling like she might have found herself. I think it's possible that perhaps the murder of Channing wasn't premeditated, that something came up, and it really made the situation with Channing untenable, and maybe this was an on-the-fly solution. Marcello had to hypnotize her to murder him.
All right. I think that's good enough. We'll tack that all together. I think just looking ahead, I think it's going to be stretched out for several more days before we actually see the reenactment. I think it's actually going to be next Monday, and we're only on a Tuesday show, but we'll see how close they get through these next 3 episodes. Okay, we are doing our very last guess. I guess not who the killer is, because you overheard something on the cruise.
I didn't overhear it. It was projected out into a room.
Into a room. So anyway, before it's all revealed in the next episode, what is now your theory as to all the pieces fitting together as to the circumstances of Channing's shooting?
I think Marcello hypnotized Sophia to shoot Channing. And I think perhaps, and we know in her identity as Dominic, that Sophia was popping in and out of, Lionel's closet and the Capwell Manor and all sorts of places. I'm wondering if perhaps she was also gathering intel as Dominic and relaying that back to Marcello, who was then giving her further instructions. So I guess I'm seeing her as a real sleeper agent for Marcello in this.
Well, all right. So even though an apparently major spoiler was revealed on the cruise, based on just my memory, you don't really have a handle at all on what happened. There are at least 4 major things that you haven't even thought of. So that will be revealed in the next 2 days. So that's good. I think you'll be surprised by what happens in 217, and I think there's another surprise in 218 that no one saw coming.
That's what actually people told me on the cruise when they saw my disappointed face. One of the people on the cruise said to me, "Don't worry, you don't know why yet." And that's the really interesting part. So I want to be surprised.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go for a walk now that it's cooled down a bit, and then we'll come back and watch episode 217.
Yes, we do get off this couch once in a while.
After a week of Comic-Con at home, I took the week off work so I could watch Comic-Con things. Now, back to work in the other room before I saunter back here to the Lazy Boy for the remaining 8 hours of the day with a forced walk for an hour. We will talk again after we find out what happened in the study that night. See you then.
Bye-bye.
On Santa Barbara, a family has gathered, and a killer is about to be revealed. It's daytime's greatest whodunit. This week,